Well, welcome back, everyone. It's Monday, time to get healthy with Dr. Paul Arciero. That's you.
It's a little bit like deja vu, in a good way.
Deja vu.
Deja vu.
With legumes. Let's get that out of the way first, okay?
Not me.
Well, as you can probably tell already, we don't have anything really serious to talk about, and then all of a sudden we did. The subject of dehydration came up this week, and I asked Dr. Paul about it, and you referred to it as the insidious health risk. Insidious health risk. I can't believe it.
Yeah, no, it is insidious because oftentimes people don't even realize that they're underhydrated.
Right.
So they're dehydrated, and it sneaks up on you, and that's what insidious I mean by that. Is that
gotcha, okay.
People are out doing their thing, right? They're out playing, they're working in their yard, they're mowing their lawn, they're out playing tennis with some friends, they're going for a walk with the dog. I mean, you name it, we're outside this time of year.
That's right.
And it's not just this time of year, although it's more prevalent because we are perspiring and being more active. But if you're not staying on top of your hydration, then it sneaks up on you. And before you know it, it slams you.
Right. Now, you're saying that dehydration, pretty simply put here, is a lack of liquids inside your system, right? But not just water. Right. And people could be fooled into thinking, hey, I feel thirsty, I should drink a lot of water and hydrate myself.
Right.
Wrong.
Right. So dehydration is a lack of fluid. Yeah,
right.
It's a lack of fluid, but what it does is it disrupts your fluid balance. And what dictates your fluid balance, or what determines our fluid balance inside of our body, is the amount of fluid in our cells. We call that the intracellular fluid. The amount of fluid outside of our cells, we call our extracellular fluid. And then the amount of fluid that's kind of traveling in our bloodstream. And you become dehydrated because of a lack of fluid, but then also a disruption in the electrolytes that create fluid balance in each of those three compartments.
Right.
And so when people become dehydrated, they become dehydrated because the electrolytes that determine the balance of the fluids in each of those spaces becomes disrupted.
Right, so now when you mention electrolytes,
Yep.
a lot of brand names on the shelf, all of the Gatorades and these kinds of waters, they contain a lot of electrolytes. At least they make the claim that they contain a lot.
Right.
But they also contain a lot of sugar.
A lot of sugar.
What a lot of people find distasteful because the sugar actually makes you more thirsty.
Yeah, well, and that's not such a bad thing, especially when you're running the risk of dehydration. So let's go back just for a moment. The four main electrolytes that we have to be conscious of when we're exposing ourselves to the heat and humidity. The first one, of course, is sodium.
Got it, sure.
The next one is chloride. The next one is potassium, and then magnesium, and then there's several others that are important. But the three main players, I would say, although magnesium could be thrown into that mix, is sodium, chloride, and potassium.
Right. Okay.
And so most of these sports drinks contain a combination of those. And we need to get those electrolytes in, and if you're exerting yourself physically, you also need to get some calories in the form of energy, in the form of carbohydrate.
Right,
and so
got it, sure.
there's a time and place for those. If you're out mowing your lawn, for example, and you're on a sit-down mower, you probably don't need to hydrate with an electrolyte beverage.
Right.
But if you're on a push mower and you're going for more than 45 minutes to an hour of any type of activity where you're perspiring and sweating in the hot sun, you need to make sure that you're taking in something that is more than just water. You need to have those electrolytes. You need to have some form of glucose coming into your body. So I want to say that I'm not necessarily promoting glucose or Gatorade and some of those other brands across the board. However, they can be very useful. Now, there's a big difference between a sports drink that contains the fluid in the form of water, the electrolytes in the form of sodium, potassium, and chloride, and the sugar in the form of glucose. There's also things that are called energy drinks, like Monster, these other caffeinated beverages.
Got caffeine. That's right.
Caffeine is a real no-no when it comes time to dehydration or out in the hot and humid. You do not, because that's placing an added burden on your cardiovascular system. So at no time should people be thinking that they can replace fluids with an energy drink if they're trying to prevent dehydration.
Right, and one thing, before we went on air, I mentioned to Dr. Paul that I had a bout with dehydration that wound me up in the hospital.
Yeah.
Out mowing the lawn, all kinds of activities in the sun, then I thought, boy, I'm feeling pretty dehydrated, I should go for a swim.
Right.
All I did, I went for a swim, and the next thing I know, I was knocked out.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Swimming is the one activity that people never realize that actually can contribute to dehydration.
For sure. And you wouldn't think it because you've got all this water around you. So you're dehydrating in a body of water. And so that's exactly what happened. You were going in slightly dehydrated, and then the added intense nature of the swimming itself, which is full body and very draining of our energy system, and the fact that you'd be perspiring inside that water as you're swimming, further induced that dehydration state. And again, that was a perfect example of the insidious nature of dehydration.
Boy, you're right.
Yeah.
Totally right.
One more thing, Jesse, that
Sure.
I think is really worthwhile, is that what ends up happening is if you get to the point where you're feeling thirsty, you've gone too far into dehydration. So you have to be real careful to never let yourself feel thirsty when you're out exercising or performing yard work or doing anything physically. Because if you wait to the time that you're feeling thirsty, you've waited too long and your body is already dehydrated. And what will happen is you'll overconsume the fluid, which will then trigger some hormonal responses in your body to make you excrete that fluid too quickly.
Right. Now think about what Dr. Paul is saying here. If you feel thirsty, you're already feeling dehydrated. Be careful.
Don't
try
overdrink.
to wolf down 64 ounces of water, because all you're doing is actually contributing to the problem. Now, I just cycle back on something. If you don't want to purchase something off the shelf, you can make your own concoction. And you mentioned a great one to me. I don't know how long it takes you hours to make this stuff, but explain to us what this stuff is.
It's actually pretty easy. You take equal parts of water and coconut water. Coconut water is a great potassium source. And then I add in a pinch of both table salt, sodium chloride with iodide, and sea salt, which is more pure sodium. And then a little bit of honey, about a teaspoon to a tablespoon, depending upon how much I'm going to be exerting energy. And then finally some lemon juice.
Got it.
Now for people that are somewhat reluctant to do the coconut water,
yeah,
if you might
like
have a
me.
little aversion,
Sure.
you can use some other 100% fruit juice if you want to. Orange juice.
An apple, cranberry,
apple,
and
cranberry,
orange juice,
orange.
that they would all be.
Yep.
Well, thinking
Acai.
about 4th of July coming up, vodka, can I put any vodka in there, you think?
You could put in a little bit of vodka with some orange juice. No, I will not take credit for that. That's your concoction.
Yeah, that's right. I think I want to stay healthy. I'll go back to your concoction.
Right.
So you got plans for the 4th?
Just celebrating with family and friends.
Good, that's
Making
great.
sure I'm staying hydrated.
Good. Stay hydrated.
Be
safe.
I will.
Okay. And we'll see you on the other side.
Sounds good.
Hydrated
Yes,
to the max.
That's right.
Sound good?
The right way.
Happy 4th to you.
Same to you.
Great, Paul. So, to see this interview again, please head to our website, looktvonline.com.